Guns!
At approximately 11:47 p.m. Eastern Time, Cyclone security member Osborne Jones discovers individuals brandishing firearms and immediately engages the threat.
Everybody inside, everybody inside, everybody inside, everybody inside.
Shortly thereafter, Cyclone security owner Jordan Rainey comes over the radio and announces multiple times for all units to retreat into the safety of cover inside the structure. This was tactically the right call. Unfortunately, no one listened.
One down, one down. Everybody get inside.
All remaining members of Cyclone Security, as well as casino owner Marcus Sweet, pushed out of the casino and left the front door and interior exposed. This was believed to be an attempt to provide covering fire for Osborne Jones to retreat to the safety of the casino. Unfortunately, due to the lack of proper communication, a majority of the security members proceeded to push farther away from the front doors. It can be noted that Richard Diesel was next to the front doors. However, it is believed at this time there was no security members inside with the remaining civilians. With all of the security officers' attention fixed on the two shooters, it is unknown during this time if anyone else was able to make entry into the building amidst the chaos. In his attempt to retreat as he was ordered, Osborne Jones was unfortunately struck by friendly fire by Cyclone security member Richard Diesel.
Everybody inside. Granger. One got one. I'm pushing, Kai, I'm pushing. Got another.
Got another one, he's down.
Granger behind us.
It is important to note that 2 of the 4 suspects at this time had been neutralized. It is also important to note Cyclone Security calls out that there is a roaming vehicle, a black Granger, who still posed a threat. It is at this time that Cyclone Security Manager Kenny Startanky, Riker White, and Richard Diesel assist in getting him inside the structure.
Fine.
Upon entry, they are greeted by 2 women wearing high heels who had just completed a 37-step sprint up with pistols out. God bless those women's ankles. Despite the impressive feat, Mercer County Sheriff's Office would like to remind civilians to not run towards gunfire unless they are directly engaged and or in fear of their life. Adding more civilians to the mix of things only creates for a more chaotic scene for the responding officers. At approximately 11:48 p.m. Eastern Time, the reports of multiple shots fired at the casino location were sent to DPS and MCSO. 118, all deputies, grab your long guns. All deputies, grab your long guns. Get your plate carriers on. Approximately 1 minute later, at 11:49 p.m. Eastern Time, the first units begin to arrive on scene at the front of the structure to start establishing a perimeter. This includes Mercer 118, 442, 328, DPS 2 Henry 5, and 1 Henry 1. Within the next 30 seconds, 2 Henry 4 also arrives on scene. After setting a perimeter near the area of the shots fired, at approximately 11:50 p.m. Eastern Time, Mercer 118, 328, and 2 Henry 5 made entry into the structure and were met at the front entryway by 4 members of Cyclone Security: Jordan Rainey, Riker White, Kenny Starkanky, and Richard Diesel. Cyclone informed the officers that nobody inside was a threat and that they had 1 injured security personnel downstairs by the name of Osborne Jones. It was at this moment that shots were fired outside of the compound. All officers left the structure to engage. 118 informed the security team to muster the civilians. This is a term that is used in emergency situations, which means to assemble all in one area for inspection to make sure everyone is accounted for. It would later be discovered that this was never effectively put into action by on-site security.
Nobody is inside that is a threat.
We have
All
one
the
downed
suspects were
inside.
outside.
We have one downed inside.
Below of us have been hit. All the suspects are outside. We are licensed security from Cyclone Industries.
Is the rest?
Out front, out front.
Yeah, no one
Get
inside.
get the civilians mustered. We got shots fired outside.
One suspect down.
The unit still outside immediately engaged the suspect and placed him in cuffs. He later died from his wounds. Hey, don't reach! Do not reach!
Suspect down. North side.
Do not reach! Cover, I'm going in for cuffs. Do not reach! At approximately 11:52 p.m., Mercer 118, Mercer 328, and 2 Henry 5 made entry, while 2 Henry 4 went to the rear of the structure to check for any threats or any signs of forcible entry on any access points. 1 Henry 1 stayed at the front entrance to ensure nobody entered behind the units that were about to start clearing the structure. He also would call for backup soon and start establishing a triage point for those that are wounded and get ready for transport. Officers were then informed by Richard Diesel of Cyclone Security that there were approximately 4 to 5 total suspects. You said y'all have one suspect down in there?
No, we have one security officer down.
Okay, did the suspects flee?
So there was one across the street, right, pretty much right in front of us. If you go across the street to the left, there was one.
What was he
One
wearing?
ran, I couldn't tell you. I didn't see. One I saw had a white hood.
Okay.
And then another one ran towards the highway. And then there was about maybe, I don't know how many, a few of them and a black border.
How many, if you had to guess, how many suspects you think?
Probably
we're
like
talking?
4 or 5 of them.
10-4, stand by. This vital piece of information was then relayed to the rest of the responding units by Mercer 118. 118, I've touched base with security. We're about to be clearing the casino. We've got possible 4 to 5 suspects. We have one that's been shot out front. Assume there's 4 left. We're going to be clearing the interior. They said they were outside, though.
Have we made entry at all?
Negative. I'm stacked up here on the front. Immediately following, Mercer 118, Mercer 328, and 2 Henry 5 stack up on the front entrance, getting ready to push into the facility to do an initial assessment. They were again greeted by security, which assured that there was no threat visible inside the structure. Despite this information, the 3 units began to make an initial sweep through the casino floor, moving back towards the back of the structure. The 3 units then began to make their initial sweep into the casino. They were asked by Head of Security Jordan Rainey to please lower their weapons. It is important to note his body language here seems very relaxed and casual, and he also does not have a firearm present. Although this tactic may be used to try to keep the civilians around him calm, it is not applicable in a situation like this, especially if we have not completely searched the entire structure for any possible individuals who don't belong. This goes back to the importance of the command given by 118 3 minutes prior to this. Muster the civilians, get everyone in the same area to start taking into account. At this point in time, it had not been done.
Probably,
I need
please
help
do not
transporting
end
2
your rifling.
patients, and I need escorts, please, and thank you.
10-4. Cassandra Romanov, the director of OSHA Medical Service, happened to be there that night and established a triage point right in front of the front entrance. Her quick thinking and swift initiative would later prove invaluable for the amount of lives that were saved. We gotta make sure there's no more threats in here first, and we'll get everyone out, okay?
I can guarantee you there's no threats in here. If there were, we would not be here right now.
Nobody
Okay,
made it
well,
inside.
we're
Everybody's
gonna
outside.
check, all right? We got guys on the outside trying to find who the threat is on the outside. I'm not moving people outside until we know we can get them to cars safely, okay? So we're gonna have to hang tight here for a
Okay,
moment.
do any of you have any medical supplies on you? Anything at all that I can use?
I got med kits in the back of my car.
Hey,
Shots
Lee,
inside.
It's gonna be on the 11:55 racetrack, PM, possibly?
Say
Automatic
they're
gunfire would
inside.
begin to erupt in the rear of the structure near the playing tables. The suspect was quickly engaged by 2 Henry 4 and 2 Henry 5 who had already begun their sweep of the structure. 118 and 328 arrived shortly thereafter to support. It was at this time 2 Henry 4, and 2 Henry 5 were both downed in the process. 2 Henry 4 suffered multiple gunshot wounds, and 2 Henry 5 also was shot in the neck. Mercer 118 stepped between the downed troopers and the gunmen and engaged in order to give 328 and 555 the opportunity to drag the men away.
Shots are inside. Shots are inside. Hands! I got 1 officer down. I got 2 down.
Pull us out!
118 quickly neutralized the threat, and 328 made an initial sweep around the table area to ensure that hallway was clear. It was at this time that 118 and 328 began to do a sweep of interior rooms, such as the male and female bathroom located on opposite sides of the playing table areas. It was during this time that Mercer 555 began to make initial assessments on the injuries of both downed troopers. It is important to note that a couple other OEMS employees, as well as citizens, immediately stepped in to assist Cassandra Romanoff in saving these men's life. They have our gratitude. After clearing the bathrooms, 118 and 328 then made a secondary sweep of the playing card area. This is where they approached 2 Caucasian males, both sitting playing poker. It is important to note that the individuals were acting very suspicious and seemed to be completely unfazed by the automatic gunfire. This triggered suspicions of both units. It is also important to note the individual wearing a trench coat in the hot springtime. This is also a reason for suspicion. His bright blonde hair, trench coat, and his nerdy-looking white friend portrayed the part of school shooters. 118 escorted them back to the front and instructed them to sit down in the muster area. Approximately 1 minute later, the units inside attempted to assist Cyclone Security in getting all the uninjured civilians into a muster area near the on-site clothing store.
Randy, the triage point is...
At 12:01 a.m., a gunman came out of cover from the changing room, began shooting multiple civilians. Mercer 118, 328, 442, and 1 Henry 2 quickly engaged the suspect and neutralized the threat. It is important to note that the suspect did not match the description of the suspects who engaged security on the outside. While this may be odd, it is not uncommon for individuals to blend in during a busy situation like this and wait for the opportune time to reveal themselves. It is still unclear at this time when or how the suspect was able to enter and hide in the changing room. This could have been avoided if proper scene security was established in this makeshift muster area by Cyclone Security.
41 critical patient.
Jump fired!
Get to the top, get to the top.
One suspect down. I got multiple shot.
Back up.
Oh,
First body, first bodies.
He's down.
God damn it.
It was at this point that Mercer 118 takes over the entire scene as scene commander once he realized the interior is still compromised. Upon further interview of Mercer 118, he stated he wished that he had done that sooner, but was focused on clearing the structure and was under the impression that Cyclone Security could establish a muster area.
All right, I need everyone to make sure we know who everyone is here. All right.
Yeah.
Who did you come here with? Group up with who you came here with.
Mercer 118 then instructs all civilians to muster together in groups that they came with in order to flush out any possible threats or suspicious individuals. Shortly after, multiple civilians approached Mercer 118 and raised their suspicions of the trench coat wearing school shooter and his friend. At this time, the whereabouts of his friends were not known. Just prior to this, Mercer 118 had instructed the male in the trench coat to carry an injured female to the primary triage area. This tactic was used in an attempt to make the suspect lower his guard by thinking law enforcement trusted him. Having him carry someone would prevent him from pulling any weapons and also would force him to leave the structure away from civilians where only law enforcement would be waiting on the outside. The suspect was immediately detained by 1 Henry 1 and others after Mercer 118 relayed the critical information provided by the citizens.
This lady up to the triage point. Can you carry her up there, please?
Yes.
Please, up at the top of the stairs.
Go to the top of the stairs or carry her
Yes,
right here?
take her to the top of the stairs. Hey, somebody detain the guy, yellow hair. He's bringing up a victim right now to the triage point. Say again?
The yellow-haired dude-looking guy with the gray
Yeah,
trench coat.
yeah.
Yeah,
He's currently being detained. He's looking. Okay. He's detained. Well, I hope so. Have we got him detained?
10-4.
These citizens are to be commended for their awareness of their surroundings and speaking out when they saw something suspicious. This suspect would later be released without any charges other than having mustard yellow hair and wearing a really sketchy trench coat. At 12:04 a.m., Mercer 118, 442, and 328 escort all remaining accounted for civilians through the front doors and relay instructions given by 1 Henry 1 on the muster location. Before civilians had been evacuated, Mercer 118 instructed all available units to muster at the front lobby to begin one final sweep of the structure.
All right.
The whereabouts of the white male suspect who accompanied the trenchcoat suspect was still unknown, and he was presumed to be hiding among
Mercer
the
County
locals
Sheriff's Office.
or
If
in
you're
a barricaded
inside,
position.
make yourself known.
Mercer 118, 328, 442, and 1 Henry 2 began to clear the entire structure as a unit until they reached an area where two hallways split.
We're gonna hold
118 and 1 Henry 2 held the hallway on the left side leading to the racetrack area, while 328 and 442 cleared the back card table area and the restrooms. It was at this time a female bartender proceeded to deliver drinks to the racetrack area that had not yet been cleared by law enforcement officers. She did not comply with verbal commands given by Mercer 118. A later investigation would show that she was in fact deaf and had just come back from her lunch break and thought everyone had left. She stated to investigators that she was not caught off guard by the amount of weapons in people's hands, due to the fact that security does not confiscate them from the patrons. This was a very alarming piece of evidence considering the amount of alcohol, emotion, and money located within the walls of the casino.
Hey, lady, nobody wants drinks right now, all right? Get out of here. Do not go into that racetrack. We have not cleared it. Lady! Hey! All right. Whatever. Your funeral.
All 4 units moved in on the last remaining unsearched area and found an African-American male attempting to bet on a non-existent horse race. Verbal commands were given for the man to present his hands. The suspect instead reached into his waistband, and the units wasted no time and immediately engaged the suspect and dispensed approximately 233 rounds of ammunition in the span of 12 seconds.
Hey!
Yes, on track.
Let me see some hands!
Hands! Hands!
Let me see some hands!
You're gonna get shot.
Let me see hands! Shots fired, shots fired. Suspect down.
The man was pronounced dead by the coroner later, and it was noted to have severe burn marks on his throat and neck area. When units who had custody over his body were asked about the injury, they simply responded with, "What happened here, happened here." In all, over 15 civilians suffered gunshot wounds or injuries. Fortunately, there was no casualties outside of the suspects. The Mercer County Sheriff's Office attributes it directly to the heroic efforts of security, civilians, and most importantly, Cassandra Ravanoff and her OEMS employees who immediately sprung into action to treat injuries and save people's lives. All of the victims were transported to OEMS by law enforcement officers and other civilians, and were given the proper medical care that they needed. This is a tragedy. The Mercer County Sheriff's Office, New Malvern Department of Public Safety, and Ocean Medical Services owe an incredible debt of gratitude to civilians and security who were able to put aside their differences and immediately start helping others. This exemplifies the majority of our citizens, and it was an incredible thing to see despite so much pain and suffering occurring. From the moment of the first time shots were fired to the last time shots were fired by law enforcement officers was approximately 18 minutes and 33 seconds. It is our sincere hope that those affected by this tragedy seek and get the help that they need. The New Malvern Department of Public Safety and our special response team will be planning some educational classes in the future for civilians, security, first responders, and anyone who would like to attend on how to better prepare and react to a horrible situation like this. It is our sincere hope that nothing like this ever happen again. But if it does happen, we want our citizens to be prepared to defend themselves and react accordingly to save lives.